What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Mixed Doubles Podcast. We're your hosts, Maggie Robinson
and Josh Mike McCauley.
We're former D1 athletes and co-workers in a major professional sports league with a passion for all things women's sports.
As always, all opinions stated here are our own and have no affiliation with our employer.
That being said, we were both just in Detroit
for the NFL draft.
And wow, what a time.
I mean, you're famous now. Like you're
Not to make this about me, but I did go viral like 3 times on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Guys, like 2 million plus views.
I mean, let me ask you, what's it feel like to be the number 2 overall pick?
It's great. I feel really flattered. Also, first woman ever to be selected in
number
the first round of the NFL draft.
That's huge.
That's huge.
Trailblazer.
I know.
So you didn't even do combine.
No, they just picked me up out of nowhere.
Wow.
They saw my Penn Athletics videos and they were like, she's got an arm.
She needs to be the future of this team.
Yeah. So
wow. Well, congrats to you. You got drafted by the Commanders, the Patriots. Was there anybody
else?
And
the Bears.
And the
Bears. I got
Bears.
drafted 3 separate times. Wow. No, but to give a little bit of context to this, you guys. So I'm on the broadcasting team. And we needed someone to stand in during rehearsals so all the TV networks could understand the movements of what it looks like when a player gets drafted from the green room and then walks to the main stage. And they're like, Maggie, will you do this? So there I go. I sit down in Caleb Williams' seat. I'm looking at all the cameras. I get the call. The pick is in. You've been selected. I get up. I walk. I put my hat camera on. I'm mimicking this whole thing. They got me on the big stage of the whole draft theater. And then I get to hold up my jersey, which was a winter coat. And I got some questions by the ESPN reporter, which is really cool. Yeah, it was a great experience. It was so cool. And somehow someone videoed it, and I blew up online.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that came out of this is that we know that you have a lookalike now in the NFL, a.k.a. Trevor Lawrence.
Stop.
It's the hair. It's just the hair. No, it's not even the hair.
Okay, everyone in the comments was saying that I look like Trevor Lawrence. They're like, oh, man, Trevor Lawrence to the Commanders. For one, I just got a haircut, so this is sensitive. Are you for real?
That's tough. That's tough.
And then second, I did look up, you know how there's those memes of NFL quarterbacks as women? This was like a whole
no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I did pull up a picture of Trevor Lawrence as a woman, and I don't not look like him. You know?
Well, I think that you'll end up being a better quarterback and probably have a better arm. So
everyone said I look like a man, Josh.
That's not.
How do you think that makes me feel?
That's not what they said.
That's exactly
they said you look
said.
like Trevor Lawrence. Nah.
Yeah.
The player comp's not there. You'll be better.
Yeah, with time. But
the Commanders, Patriots, and Bears got to steal.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
With
First player from Penn to go that high. So with that.
Big plays.
And big players. All right.
AKA Maggie Robinson. Margaret Robinson.
AKA oh yeah, they use my my full name.
Yeah.
Like Margaret Robinson everywhere.
Yeah, no, that's your government. That's your government. They have to.
Anyway, another big name to know, Candace Parker. She just announced her retirement on Sunday, and she is one of the greatest WNBA players, I would say, to have ever played.
Yeah, one of the GOATs.
She played pro for 16 years, was the first pick in the 2008 draft, 2-time WNBA MVP, 2-time Olympic gold medalist.
Let's stack it up.
She's one of the best to ever do it. And she also started as an NBA and NCAA basketball analyst on TNT back in 2018. And it sounds like she's going to put more of her time and effort into that. She wants to become a team owner. I mean, she's got big plans, but it's sad to see someone that
storied of a career and that good. And I know she was trying to come back and play this year, considering health concerns. And I guess I'm assuming that her recovery wasn't going to plan, but I don't think she left anything on the table.
No. She for context, had 10 surgeries, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And she was still playing at a really high level, but, sometimes your body gives out, and we wish her the best on to bigger and better, but crazy to see her put in her words.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you my big player this week, Aitana Bonmati.
That was great pronunciation.
Right? Aitana Bonmati, who is one of the best soccer players in the world right now. Plays for the Spanish national team and is the midfielder for FC Barcelona for their women's team. So she just won the Loris World Sportsman of the Year award. And with that joins the ranks of Serena Williams, Simone Biles.
Wow.
But on top of that, over the last year, she's also won so many other awards, including having won the FIFA World Cup She was awarded the Women's World Cup Golden Ball, which is just the best player during the World Cup.
MVP, essentially.
MVP of the World Cup.
MVP of the World Cup?
Yeah. Like, imagine being the most valuable player in the world. That's what Aitana is.
That's incredible.
Soccer right now. Won the Ballon d'Or. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
You gave it a great shot.
It's French. French isn't in my repertoire, but that's the best player over the course of an entire season. FIFA Women's Best Player. But going from there, kind of looking at some of the updates around the industry, I know you have some stuff for us.
Yes, I have some big news. So Alexis Ohanian, the Reddit co-founder and part-time owner of the NWSL club Angel City FC in California, and also, in case you didn't know, Serena Williams' husband.
That's his biggest claim to fame.
That's his biggest claim to fame. Yeah. Reddit, irrelevant. Don't care. Yeah. Angel City, that's relevant.
For sure.
Serena Williams, relevant.
Yeah.
So now you know who he is. So he and the Harvard track star and now pro athlete Gabby Thomas have partnered on a new women's track event called the 776 Invitational. And so his venture capital firm, 776, is funding the largest purse in the history of women's track and field, with $60K for first place, $25K for second, and $10K for third for each event.
Yeah. So it's a massive purse.
That's a lot of money. And this is really groundbreaking, I would say, because one, his company and his venture capital firm is really focusing on women's sports really heavily, which we haven't really seen. Usually people diversify their portfolios. They're going into men's sports. They're going into women's just a little bit. No, he's putting all of his backing into women's sports, and especially track and field. Let's talk about that. That's an underfunded sport when it comes to payout.
I mean, just looking at it in general, like track and field is one of those sports that I think has an opportunity to grow. And I know in similar methods to some of the other smaller leagues, they're going to be putting a video out, or not a video, they're going to be doing a series on Netflix or another channel, another streaming channel, just covering some of their athletes, some of their big time athletes. I'm sure Gabby Thomas will be a part of that, but they're a league or a sport that has so much growth opportunity.
There's a lot of potential there.
And Alexis is leaning into that. And I think this is something that'll pay off for sure.
Yeah. So keep an eye out for this. It'll be happening after the Olympics in September. So stay tuned. I'm sure we'll hear more about this, but awesome way to kick off the news. And second, the U.S. Justice Department has agreed to pay the victims of the former Team USA Gymnastics Dr. Larry Nassar $138.7 million. This is like justice served in as much as it could be. Obviously, you can't repair the emotional and physical damage, but it's really promising to see that at the highest court level that these girls are finally getting some source of retribution.
Absolutely.
I don't even have like the proper words for this, but it's just very powerful to see that the U.S. government is supporting women and victims in this way.
Yeah. I think you nailed it on the head.
Yeah. Little bit of a hard pivot into this one, soccer related, and this one makes me a bit sad. As a soccer fan, the Brazilian soccer legend Marta has announced her plans to retire from the international game at the end of 2024. If you know anything about women's soccer or soccer in general, you know she has been one of the top players in the game for my entire lifetime. Like, she has led Brazil to so much success and now is in the NWSL. And might I add that she's such a badass. She comes and she is wearing like lipstick to games. She doesn't give a fuck. She's like, I'm here for me. This makes me feel good, look good, feel good, play good.
Come on now.
And she's doing it, and then she's saucing up entire teams. Like, say what you want. I'm going to look like this, and I'm still going to perform. So all the respect to her. Sad to see her retire, but she has let such a great legacy behind. So
no, she's one of those ones. Anytime, especially in soccer, you're known as a single name.
Right. Like, I don't even know her last name.
I don't.
That is so true.
But Marta is Marta, and she is immortal in Brazil. She's immortal globally. That's definitely going to leave a hole in the international game. We'll see if she continues to play in the NWSL.
True.
This is just international, so for Brazil, but obviously, I mean, going to be a massive hole to fill for the Brazilian national team.
Get their youth teams up.
Get some folks in the pipeline. Yeah. I don't know if you're replacing Marta, though. Jumping into this PWHL, some pro women's hockey news. The playoffs are starting May 6th, and with that, there's some stuff that you guys need to know. I think the playoff format is really interesting. And then also kind of leaning into the draft, the PWHL, in my opinion, has taken some really cool steps to make the playoff format innovative and fresh, as well as kind of the draft system for the teams and how they kind of approach that. The way the playoffs will work is that the top 4 teams in the regular season standings will get a bid to the playoffs. They'll all make the playoffs.
Okay.
You have your 4 teams. Of those 4 teams, the number 1 team, so whoever has the best record gets that first seed, will have the opportunity to select from the 3 other teams who they want to play in that first round.
So they can pick like the weakest link and be like, and we want you.
Yeah, well, I think it's so cool because you find yourself in situations as a team sometimes where it's like, yes, you're the first seed, but that last seed you might play, you might not match up against them as well as another team, regardless of them being, the 4th seed or the 3rd seed. So this gives the team an opportunity to say like, okay, yeah, if it's the 4th team that we want to play and we feel like we match up well against them, like, absolutely, I'll take that. I'll go ahead and play the 4th seed.
You can scout and you can be like, oh, and they have those weaknesses and we have these strengths. Let's go.
But yeah, as a team, you're thinking, this number 2 seed, yeah, they had a good season, but we beat them 4 times out of the however many times we played them. Like, we feel really good about our matchups and we're healthy. Come on, let me go ahead and play the 2. Like, that's crazy.
I like that. That adds like another element of excitement into it.
Yeah. And it's refreshing. Like, it's cool to see leagues that are growing kind of do these things that are outside the box.
Non-traditional.
Exactly.
I like it.
And see how it works. So they're doing that. And then the other thing that I think is really cool with the draft is that the way that they're trying to keep competition, and this is a massive thing with a ton of leagues, is how do you stop teams from tanking?
Yeah.
What are some of the rules that you implement? And you've seen like with the NBA and the WNBA, the lottery system. Well, I guess in the NBA, the lottery system, the NFL is a little bit more streamlined. And so they'll do this lottery. They used to do like, the ball machine and they would pick out. And so like if there were 100 balls and you were the worst team, you'd have 25 in there.
Okay. So you have better odds. The worse you are, the better your odds are of getting a high draft pick.
Exactly. But that limits you from just saying we're going to completely tank because that's going to guarantee us the first pick.
Yeah.
Because you're not guaranteed the first pick. So you could like be terrible and end up getting the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th pick.
Got it.
The odds are that you'll get the first pick.
Yeah.
So if you're bad, it'll help you out. But it does somewhat limit teams that want to tank. And so the thing that the PWHL is doing for this is that they're saying if you are eliminated from playoff contention, it's not that if you're the worst team in the league, you get the first pick. It's of those teams who aren't making the playoffs, the way you get the first pick is by how many points you score from the point in which you're eliminated from playoff contention. So the highest point scorer of the non-playoff teams are awarded the first pick.
Wow.
In a way to kind of increase competition of those teams that aren't going to make the playoffs.
I like that.
So you have a strong regular season. That's one of the issues I think every league has, is as you come down to the end of the season, you still want people to view, like you still want people to tune in and watch the games and be excited about the games. And of the teams that are, mathematically excluded from playoff contention, it's hard to get into those games. And so I think this is a fun way to kind of keep it fresh and keep it competitive and lively.
I like it. Pro women's hockey doing new things.
Very innovative.
Spicy.
Yeah. And then some of the other cool news around there too is that they introduced their MVP and playoff MVP awards and named them after Billie Jean King and Alana Kloss, who are both league founding advisory board members, tennis phenoms,
Legends.
And trailblazers of women's sports. So really cool of the PWHL to name their highest awards after those 2 women.
Totally.
So they're giving them their flowers and honoring them in that way, which I think is really cool.
Awesome.
Jumping into some WNBA and college basketball news, Kiki Ariafen, Stanford basketball phenom, announced her transfer to USC.
Go Trojans!
Go Trojans! Massive move. She's going to join Juju Watkins. This is somebody who last year for Stanford averaged nearly 20 points and 11 rebounds.
Oh my God.
6'3" forward. There's videos of her.
6'3"?
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah. Videos of her dunking on the internet. I mean, extremely athletic.
Yeah.
In March Madness, I think she had a 40-point game in
Wow.
one of the rounds. Like,
Okay, and Stanford was stacked too. They
Yeah.
had other people who were like pulling big numbers.
Exactly.
As well.
So big loss for Stanford.
Big loss.
I'm
Going to the
sure-
rival.
Yeah.
USC.
Exactly. But it'll be interesting too because Stanford's in the ACC this year, or going into next season,
Oh
and
my
USC is going to be in the Big Ten. So I mean, rivals to an extent, but they're not really going to play each
The
other
Pac-12
anymore.
is irrelevant.
Pac-12 is done.
It's dead.
The Pac-2, tough, but really cool for her, and obviously a massive get for USC.
Tap into USC basketball next year.
Yeah.
Also,
that's going to be a team to watch.
Plug Clark Schlackert, Penn men's guard, just transferred to USC for his 5th year. We love to see it. You guys should watch men's and women's. Thank you.
Shout out. Jumping to the WNBA, Atlanta Dream and the Dallas Wings sold out their season tickets for the first time in both of their programs' history.
The Caitlin Clark effect.
Yeah, I mean, people, it's the Caitlin Clark effect, and it's also, I think, just trickling fandom from the college game, and then also the success that the WNBA had last season.
Totally.
Yeah. So really cool for them. Another big news: Sue Bird, WNBA legend, spent 19 seasons with the Seattle Storm, 5-time Olympic gold medalist, 4-time WNBA champion, and the assist leader in the WNBA. She had retired a couple of years ago, but she announced recently that she's going to join the ownership group for the Seattle Storm. So going back to that team.
That's big time.
That's going to be huge for them. And I mean, good to see Sue Bird kind of continue to be a presence in the WNBA and usher that team forward.
To have someone like that in your front office is invaluable.
Yeah.
The insight and the experience that she can provide on the player level and now on the ownership level, she's seen it from all sides. So she can really get down and be like, this is what needs to happen.
Yeah. And she's a massive steward of the game. She's done so much work post-career.
We'd love to see that.
It'll be really cool to see how she is as an owner. And then finally, according to Vivid Seats, the average WNBA ticket price has increased 129% year over year.
Oh my God.
I mean, like you said, like the Caitlin Clark effect, but I also don't want to diminish the success that the league saw last year in the playoffs, especially, and just the stardom of some of the league's new players that are coming up. And so I think it's a testament to them. I think it's a testament to people that are tapping into women's sports in general. It's really cool. Sucks for me because like I'm gonna buy those tickets and now they're not gonna be as inexpensive.
I looked at buying Liberty tickets and I was like, I don't know.
I'm gonna have to start budgeting these.
I'm gonna have to start putting that into the budget.
Yep. But let's jump into the main story. I think this is some news that came out really recently. It's really cool. I had heard about this a couple years ago when it launched, but it's the sports bra, which I'll let you kind of.
That sounds so weird.
Right? Like,
that sounded so awkward coming out of your mouth.
The sports bra. What is it? Like,
what is the sports bra? You're probably wondering. No, it's not a normal sports bra. It is a all-women sports bar in Portland, Oregon. And the big news here is that Alexis Ohanian, who we mentioned previously, and his 776 venture capital firm are investing into the sports bra and franchising it nationally. So let's break this down.
Yeah. The sports bra, obviously the name sounds crazy, but like who started this? Why is this relevant? Why are we talking about it? Why is Alexis Ohanian investing in this?
Yeah, it probably feels a little out of left field if you don't know. So Jenny Nguyen is the founder and CEO of the sports bra, and it's in Portland, Oregon, where she grew up. So a little bit of background about her. I think it really builds into the story of this bar. She played collegiate basketball at Clark College before tearing her ACL, and then, as all of us student athletes have dealt with, she was like, "Oh shit, what do I do with myself?
What am I supposed to do?"
And so for her, that was cooking, and she started cooking in her dorm room and hosting these large parties. And post college, she enrolled at the Western Culinary Institute and worked at a lot of fine dining restaurants, and then became an executive chef at a college. Those two combined experiences of basketball and being a chef are both very male-dominated spaces. This is a quote from her. They're both very male-dominated spaces, and she was able to find success in both, but not without hardship and dealing with discrimination and uncomfortable situations. So she opened this bar 2 years ago. This is still so young. This is a 2-year-old bar, and it started off of nothing. She opened a Kickstarter fund. She raised $100K. And then she was like, all right, that's great. That's not enough.
Yeah.
Let me put my life savings into this and move back into my parents' basement at 40 years old.
She's about it. She went all in. Like,
I
all
mean,
cards on the table. If this doesn't work, shoot. Like,
then I'm in my parents' basement and 28K poorer.
yeah.
Like,
but like you said, she's experienced hardship. She's grinded. Like, she's the perfect person to do this.
she truly is. So, long story short, it fully worked out for her. Opened the bar and has gotten incredible success from it. Has gotten covered by like the New York Times, Vogue, has gotten international coverage. She's gotten a lot of social media and digital and print journalism coverage, which is fantastic. And I think it was so big, the hype around her and the bar, that Alexis Ohanian tapped into it. He's obviously a huge proponent of women's sports. And as we said, investing heavily in them. So
yeah, well, question two, like before we jump into why, I mean, we talked a little bit about why Alexis is investing in this, but before we talk about kind of the investment philosophy and strategy, talk to me about what the bar is doing that's so special. I mean, obviously this is a women's sports bar and they're showing women's games, but what makes the bar stand out? What's so cool about it that anybody's got, like, obviously they've had success.
totally.
And now you're getting this massive investment.
But like, why? What's up?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question back at you to answer this.
All right.
Have you ever seen women's sports at a sports bar in New York here?
No.
Right. The games are never on. And if you go in, it's probably a lot of dudes drinking beer. As a woman, not the friendliest environment to walk into,
No.
I will say. It's a little intimidating. And by a little, I mean a lot. And it's like, if you want to go watch a basketball game or like, sure, the women's college basketball Final Four was on TV, only because there was so much hype around it this year. Previously, I haven't been able to watch games. The NWSL has never been on at a bar. So what makes this bar special, the sports bra, only features women's sports on their televisions. They won't be showing any men's sports, but they'll be showing women's collegiate and professional sports. And it's a really inclusive environment. It's LGBTQ plus friendly. They have food for all dietary restrictions. We got vegan, we got gluten-free, which typical bar food is not hitting those marks.
No.
And as if this wasn't good enough, she tapped into the female-owned businesses in Portland, Oregon to provide the beverages and the food for this bar. What a community builder.
No, 100%. Like, not only is it so inclusive, but she's bringing together all of these people in the city of Portland that share this passion and like share this want to expand the accessibility of women's sports. And honestly, there's no better city to start that in.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
the Portland Thorns are the NWSL team in Oregon, and they have had really good viewership. They've been one of the strongest fan bases in the NWSL consistently, and this bar is one of the registered viewing places. It's like if you went to a Man City bar in New York, for instance. The sports bra is a viewing place for the Portland Thorns, so they have a really good fan base, and they get hyped for all their games. And again, it just builds that community, builds that hype, and builds this consistent space where viewers can go and watch and feel comfortable. And it's kind of hard to explain that there's really something to be said for an inclusive and welcoming environment, because sports bars for so long have not had that reputation.
No, absolutely not. No, so like it's exactly what you said it is. Like it's a space for people who are passionate about women's sports and just want to indulge in that viewing experience with like-minded people. I mean, that's what any kind of like sports bar or viewing party is. That's what it's meant to be, is have this collective of fans, have this collective group of people, and you create this energy in which people are united, and everybody, like, it raises the level of excitement and enjoyment that you get from watching a game. And so you have a place where like you can get people who are excited about women's sports. And I would love to just go up to Portland, like get a ticket and go across.
But luckily, they're franchising it nationally.
Exactly.
So it might be here soon.
Yeah.
Sooner than we know it.
No, so talk to me now about the franchising efforts, and that's where this investment from Alexis is going. What's the philosophy here? What's the strategy? How are they going to execute this franchise of this model?
So it's really unique. Most franchise models for sports bars or restaurants take the approach of targeting key markets and key cities and saying, okay, we want to open here. Then now let's look for franchisees who will open and run this. The sports bra is taking the opposite approach and is instead looking for passionate individuals to pitch their city or their space based on, this is the community we have, this is what we think we bring to the table. So instead of saying, we want to go to Atlanta, we want to go to New York, it's saying, here's someone from Phoenix, Arizona who has a great plan and is really business minded and has these ideas of how to bring the women's sports coverage and community together. Let's choose them.
So really tapping into community leaders.
It's really tapping into community leaders. And this is something that I love about sports so much. Like, I'm so passionate about it, is the community aspect. Where else do you see people coming together around something that's so much bigger than them and might not involve anyone they know? And they're so passionate and like they share this energy in this moment. I think that's such a cool aspect of sports that's really hard to find in other areas and in other professions, hence why I'm doing what I'm doing. I just like the community you can build. So the fact that they're tapping into community first is just such an interesting model. And I hope it'll prove that like passion will take you very far, obviously with good business strategy. But if the people aren't invested in what they're doing, why should we invest in them?
Yeah. And I think Jenny is the perfect example.
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
icon,
and it's just, and this thing's exploded for her.
Yeah. She embodies it.
Yeah.
She really does.
Yeah. And not without hard work and effort. And obviously she's done all of that and she's done everything right. And it's such a cool business opportunity for everybody involved. There's such a need for it.
Totally.
And she just came in at the right time.
Right. 2 years ago, even then, there wasn't all this hype about women's sports. Like we've said it before, we'll say it again. This is the moment.
Yeah.
This is the moment for women's sports.
Well, I'll say like the national hype wasn't there, but I think you look at some of the local communities and it's definitely.
And it was.
Like, at that year too, 2022, the Portland Thorns won the NWSL. And so,
yeah,
I mean, that's a city that was rallying around their NWSL team. Now you've seen a lot of other cities rally around their NWSL teams, and even New York rally around the New York Liberty this year. So yeah, it's exploding. I mean, I would love a sports bra in New York.
I think New York would be the perfect place for
100%. I think you have to decide like where it goes though. I don't know.
Yeah, what
do you have it in?
What borough are you putting it in?
I mean, you know me, I'll put it in Brooklyn.
But see, the thing is, I think you'd do really well in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
I like
Jenny,
it in Brooklyn.
We're here and we're passionate. Loki. The look.
Passionate. We gonna get some community leaders together.
I've worked at a restaurant before. You've worked at a restaurant before.
I have too. Come on now.
Come on now.
Shedding a little light on Jenny Wynn's success and Alexis Ohanian's investment, but also pitching ourselves.
Yeah.
We'd like to put our hat in the ring. We would love a sports bra in New York. Please contact us
at Mixed Doubles Pod on Instagram. We're not kidding.
No, but seriously, tap it. Yeah.
Tap it.
There needs to be one in New York. Gosh, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Yeah, but pretty cool to see big time investments coming from big people. Alexis Ohanian, 776 Investments, and congrats to Jenny.
Congrats to Jenny. That's a huge win. I mean, you just gotta love. That's such a great success story. Big win.
What's her last name?
Big Jenny Wynn. And with that, thank you so much for listening.
Catch us on Instagram and on Spotify and wherever you find your podcast at Mixed Doubles Pod.
1D.
1D, wait. Mixed Doubles Pod with 1D. The mix and the doubles share it. And with that, we'll catch you next time.
Peace out.
See ya.
Bye.